Each culture has its own monsters and creatures, each with its own beginnings and legends. Mythological creatures are some of the scariest monsters that have ever been written about. From Greek mythology to ancient Caribbean folklore, we count 10 of the scariest creatures ever said to exist. 10. Cerberus. Cerberus is best known as the guardian to the gates of Hades, which is the underworld in Greek mythology. Cerberus is depicted as a ferocious three-headed dog with the tail of a snake. The role of Cerberus is basically to be the doorstaff of Hades. As ancient legend tells, only those that are dead may enter Hades, and none may ever leave. As terrifying as Cerberus sounds, there were 2 occasions when he was beaten. The first time was when Orpheus, a famed musician, sneaked into Hades by lulling Cerberus to sleep with his music. The second was when Hercules knocked out Cerberus with a chokehold and kidnapped him. Hercules was badass. 9. Minotaur. The Minotaur is another monster from Greek mythology. The original Minotaur was called Asterius. He was the love child of Pasiphae, the queen of Crete, and a bull. Asterius was born with the body of a man but the head of a bull. When Minos, the king of Crete, realised that his wife had had an affair, he became enraged and had a huge labyrinth built below the ground in Knossos near to the palace. Every year, 7 men and 7 women were placed into the labyrinth. These unfortunate people will get lost and eventually fall prey to the Minotaur. The Minotaur was eventually killed by Theseus, who used a ball of thread to map his travels and find his way back out of the labyrinth. 8. Kappa. The Kappa is a creature from Japanese folklore. In Japan, the existence of Kappa is believed so strongly that signs have been placed near water where Kappa is said to roam, to warn children and tourists of the danger. The Kappa is believed to have a humanoid appearance with a face similar to a frog. They have a hollow on top of their head which is filled with water, which is said to be the source of their power. It is rumoured that if this hollow dries out, the Kappa will lose its powers and may even die. The Kappa is mischievous and likes to play tricks on unsuspecting passers-by. They lure people into their pools where they drown and devour their victim. It is said that Kappas love cucumbers even more than people. If you wait your date of birth into a cucumber and a Kappa eats it, it then has to leave you alone. So there you have it. If you ever go to Japan, make sure you always have a cucumber and a small knife on you. It may just save your life. 7. Soucouyant. The Soucouyant is a creature from Caribbean folklore who is a shapeshifter. By day, the Soucouyant appears as an old woman. By night, she strips off her false skin and takes on her true form as a fireball. The Soucouyant spends the nights flying through the Caribbean looking for a victim. It is said that they can enter a dwelling through any size hole, such as a keyhole or even a crack in the wall. Soucouyants feed by sucking blood from people's arms and legs while they sleep. Victims wake up with telltale black and blue markings on their body in the morning. If a Soucouyant draws too much blood, then the victim either dies or becomes a Soucouyant themselves. To protect yourself from a Soucouyant, it is said that you should heap rice around your home, as the Soucouyant will be obliged to gather each grain of rice individually. The skin of the Soucouyant is believed to have magical properties and is used by those who practice black magic and voodoo. 6. Medusa. Medusa is a famous creature from Greek mythology. She is depicted as the body of a woman with her lower half being that of a snake. Her hair is made of snakes, and if you are unfortunate enough to look her in the eye, you will be instantly turned to stone. Medusa was originally a beautiful woman who was a priestess of Athena and had taken a vow of chastity. The Greek god Poseidon raped Medusa in the temple of Athena, and Athena punished Medusa by turning her into the formidable monster we now know. Not quite sure how that was Medusa's fault, but I suppose that's Greek gods for you. Medusa was eventually killed by the hero Perseus, who was half human and half god. He was able to defeat her by looking at her reflection in his shield and chopping off her head. Her head was then used as a weapon to turn many creatures to stone. 5. Draugr. The Draugr is an undead race which originates in Norse mythology. The Draugr were created by Hel, the goddess of death, who created the art of necromancy, which is the practice of communicating with and raising the dead. It is said that Draugrs can be created in 3 ways. 1. Hel turns a human corpse into a Draugr. 2. A Draugr turns a human corpse into a Draugr. Or 3. A human is killed by a Draugr, which then turns them into one. Draugrs are impervious to pain and disease and can only be stopped by being completely disabled or by powerful magic. They can heal from any injury, and if a limb is severed, they can reattach it or even steal one and attach that. They sound like zombies in many ways, but destroying the brain will do no good at all, as Draugr are telepathically connected and therefore have a collective consciousness. 4. Hydra. Hydra is yet another creature from Greek mythology. The Hydra was a serpent-like water monster with multiple heads. Each time a head was cut off, 2 more would grow in its place. The breath of the Hydra was extremely poisonous, and its blood so virulent that even its tracks were deadly. The Hydra's lair was the Lake of Lima in the Argolid, south of Corinth in Greece. The Hydra was eventually slain by Hercules as one of the 12 labours he was given in punishment for killing his own wife and child. Doesn't Greek mythology sound such a happy place? 3. Dullahan. The Dullahan is a creature which originates from Ireland. It is a headless rider on a black carriage pulled by 6 headless horses. Sometimes the Dullahan is seen riding solo on a huge black horse. A Dullahan usually carries their own severed head with them, either beneath their arm or raised up in their right hand. The head has a hideous grin on its face and it has black eyes that dart about like flies. It is said that the head is so old and decayed that it glows, and the horseman uses this as a lantern to light his way in the night. Wherever a Dullahan rides, all gates and doors unbolt and fly open to let him through. This means that nobody is truly safe. Wherever a Dullahan stops riding, somebody dies. 2. Banshee. The Banshee is a Gaelic creature and is seen as the angel of death. They are currently seen in 3 different forms: a young, beautiful woman, a matronly figure, or a distressed hag. They have long pale hair which they brush with a silver comb and dress in either white or grey. The Banshee is a female ghost and lets out a loud, eerie scream. When the Banshee screams, it means that somebody is about to die. There were reported Banshee sightings as recently as 1948. Maybe it is still out there, waiting to give out its next scream. 1. Chimera. Back to Greek mythology again for the last in our lineup. The Chimera was a hybrid monster who was a sibling of Cerberus and the Hydra. It had the head and body of a lion as well as the head of a goat. Its tail was a snake. Sighting the Chimera was an omen of storms, shipwrecks and natural disasters, particularly volcanic eruptions. The Chimera lived in Lycia, a place in Asia Minor, where it terrorised the locals and ravaged the lands with its fiery breath. King Labartes of Lycia grew tired of the Chimera and asked the hero Bellerophon to kill it. Bellerophon rode on the back of the flying horse Pegasus and fired arrows at the Chimera from above, where he was safe from its ferocious heads and fiery breath. That brings this episode of Curious Tales to a close. Please feel free to leave your comments and make sure to subscribe for more videos.